Hello everyone, welcome to our new video and a new lesson on the Think Students Book series B1. Think 2, let's get started.
Write the sentences comparing these things used much, far, a lot, or a bit, a little. So we're going to use the same words we have studied now to make the comparative stronger or weaker. Now let's go to sentence number 1. We said watching TV versus reading a book, interesting and easy. This is the example they give us. So let's follow the example and do as they say. I think watching TV is a lot more interesting than reading a book, and it's far easier too. This is the example they give us. So we need to put the first one, watching TV, with interesting and using one of the verbs, well, one of the words they give us for a lot, a bit, or a little, with interesting, easy. And we need to put the adjectives into comparatives. Okay, let's do the next one. A mobile phone versus an MP3, MP4 player. You know what's an MP4 player? MP4 player is a player that plays music. You store music on it and you can play it and listen to music or any MP3 format. So we have useful and expensive. So let's start. So we have a mobile phone. This is an example that I did, but you can also have your own examples and send it to me. As I always say, I will correct them and send it to you back. So let's read the examples that I made. A mobile phone is far more useful than MP4, and it's a little more expensive. So because a mobile phone is more useful than the MP3, than MP4, so I tried to make it stronger. It's far more useful. Concerning the price, sometimes it's not very expensive concerning the MP4 player. So it's a little more expensive, or you can just say it's a lot more expensive. It depends on how you see the things. This is just an example. Concerning my point of view, you can have your own. So we have now gorillas versus snakes. So dangerous and beautiful. So the example that I said is gorillas are a bit more dangerous than snakes, and they are much more beautiful. I really don't know, but you can discuss my point of view if you want. So I think, in my opinion, that gorillas are a little more dangerous, or a bit more dangerous than snakes, and they are much more beautiful. I don't like to watch or to see snakes, so I think gorillas are much more beautiful. If you have different opinion, you can state it too. Let's go to the other one. Next. English and art. Difficult, interesting. Well, I think studying art is much more interesting than studying English, and it's a bit more difficult. As I said, you can always say, if you think that studying arts or studying English is interesting than studying arts, you can always change the sentence. You can also say that studying English is much more interesting than studying art, and it's a bit more difficult, or it's a lot more difficult. Or you can just change the first one. Much more, you can say a little more or a bit more interesting. It depends of your point of view. So I suggest that you always send me the sentence that you did at home and I will correct them. This is just my points of view, and you don't need to agree with me. And this is just examples. So the last one is my country versus USA, big and beautiful. So I think my country is a little bigger than the USA. What a lie. And it's a lot more beautiful. So if we're talking about Morocco, it's not bigger than the USA, but this is just an example. I think my country is a little bigger than the USA and it's a lot more beautiful. Concerning the first one, we can also say it's much bigger or a lot bigger, or you can just say much bigger than the USA, and it's a little more beautiful, or it's a bit more beautiful, or just leave it like, or it's much more beautiful.
Our lesson came to an end. See you on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Bye bye.